Hey yo, turn me up just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's that man space vibe.
Step in the zone, microphone check. Russ and Less got the real intellect. Talk smooth like jazz on a late night set. With a convo deep and the topics connect. From the struggles to the wins, they address it with grace. Drop lines so cool, you can feel the bass. Two kings of the craft, and you know the rest. Kick back, pour a drink, welcome to the space. You go chillin' with Russ and Less. You go chillin' with Russ and Less. You go chillin' with Russ and Less. Hang out, cause now you vibing with nothing but the best. Space forever.
Welcome in to another edition of the Man Space Podcast. Now, this is the voice of Russ, and with me, as always, who just recently saw his shadow, is Paul Tuckett Less.
Hey, if it would have been me, we wouldn't see no shadow. No Groundhog Day. Not one. There will never be a
It's a winner for you.
Yeah, for somebody. It ain't gonna be for me. I'm gonna stay right here in the house.
Man, this weather has been so crazy.
Tell me about it, man. After shoveling snow all last week, and being from the north, I had to explain to my wife. I was like, "Do you know how many deaths are contributed to just shoveling snow? The exertion, because see, she's never felt that. I broke the shovel, so I had this little bitty thing, and my driveway is at least 150 feet, on one side. So I'm shoveling with this little thing. She felt so sorry for me. So she wanted to help.
Oh no!
And all I had was another short flat blade shovel. Needless to say, 3.5 hours later, she's like, "I'm never doing that again."
I don't blame her.
Ever. She was
I did.
She was like, "Should we buy a snowblower?" I was like, "Babe, for once every 6 or 12 years,
Right.
it won't even work the next time we fire it up."
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, "No." I was like, "I'll buy a new shovel, a wider one, but I can't find one." It's amazing. All these things are everywhere when you don't need them.
Yeah.
But I still don't have a shovel, and I've been looking for a week.
Yeah, you're not gonna find one in no time soon.
I tried to order one and couldn't get it.
Yeah, you're not gonna find it. You're gonna have to wait until April.
I'm going to Michigan in a couple weeks. I will have a shovel and some rock salt. Done deal. In the shed. We're good for the next 12 years.
Man, I didn't go outside after our last show. It snowed. I didn't go outside. I went out, and the most I did was move my car to the front of the driveway so that way the sun can hit it. That's it. That's the most I did. My wife was out of town. I stayed in the house. I didn't need to go anywhere. She came back today. The refrigerator's empty. I mean, I haven't done.
Oh, you were really dug in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't go nowhere.
That's the blessing of being able to have supplies already.
Yes. On hand.
Did you lose power?
No.
I lost power for 2.5 hours one day.
Wow.
Fired up the fireplace. And she was like, "Are we going to need lights?" Listen, lady, listen. It ain't going to be that long. Don't even think that far ahead.
Right.
But I got all the batteries and flashlights charged. So it's like, "No, you bought a generator. That will only be if we need additional heat." That's the only way I'm firing that up.
I thought about you, though.
Did you?
Because you talked about the blowtorch.
Yeah.
And I kept seeing videos of people going around and blowtorching the snow.
It melts right away.
And I said, there's going to be some idiot that will set his house on fire. And the very next day, I'm watching the news.
Somebody set the house on fire.
Yes. Set his house on fire.
Yeah. He was a little overzealous with his, blowtorch situation.
but listen, man,
Yeah,
you and I, we've been through a lot of ups and downs in our personal lives, right? And
absolutely. Yeah,
and
yeah.
have you ever thought about how you deal with grief?
Ooh, never thought about it. I've had to
Hmm.
deal with it, of course.
Yeah.
Um, but my personal way of dealing with it is I don't think of death as like other people do. I use it
Yeah.
as a celebration of life,
Yeah.
right? I think of the things that were done and that were good experiences, even though
Hmm.
there's some bad. But
Yeah.
for the most part, the people I cared deeply for were I had lots of
Hmm.
good experiences with. So I lean on those and
Hmm.
try to navigate my way through that. You know,
Have you tried writing, for example?
I have not. I've not
Mm.
writing. Um,
I did a little bit of that, just kind of just writing out my thoughts, not to the
mhm,
extent of trying to really do anything major with it, but
mhm.
it was just to kind of write out what I was thinking at that particular time.
Wow.
And like
Did that help? Did that
yeah,
help?
it did.
Mm,
It did. And we have a guest today who
mm.
had his own personal traumas and was able to write about his grief and what he went through to basically help him heal.
Oh wow,
Yeah. So
wow.
our guest
That's
today, he's a journalist, a novelist, a writing coach. He's
mm.
a former editor on CNN's The Situation Rooms with Wolf Blitzer. He has a 45-year career in journalism, and he was a White House correspondent during the Reagan administration.
Oh,
Now, he has not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but six award-winning mystery suspense thriller novels.
wow.
Plus, he is a manuscript editor, a motivational speaker, and he's helping wannabe writers become published authors.
Nice.
But most importantly, he's inspiring people who struggle with grief to use writing as a way to heal.
Mm.
Manspace Nation, I need you to welcome in our guest, John DeDakis. Welcome into the show, John. How are you,
Thank you.
sir?
I'm good. Thank you. What an introduction. And I loved the way your show, that pre-taped open. I've been
Yeah.
on a
Yeah,
lot of podcasts. That's the best one I've seen.
thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you very
Definitely
much.
appreciate
It
that.
must be the tuxedos. I think it's the tuxedos.
I think a lot of people like that. Once they see the bow ties, they're like, oh, these guys are serious now.
Ah, they
It's
clean up well. They clean
we're
up
in
well.
there. We're in there.
Oh my gosh. So, John, just kind of give a little bit of background about yourself, so that way the Manspace Nation can get to know you.
Sure. Thank you. Well, this is great. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm from La Crosse, Wisconsin. You guys were talking about all the snow in South
Yeah.
Carolina. I remember 50 below when it was really 50 below. We're not
Yeah.
even talking
Ooh.
wind chill. I'm in
Yeah.
Baltimore now. We actually did get some snow that's still on the ground, maybe a foot or so, coupled with some ice as well. So that's unusual for
Yeah.
Baltimore. But grew up in Wisconsin. My dad was a lawyer. My mom was an elementary school teacher. And,
Wow.
it took me decades to realize the privilege that I had growing up. I
Mm.
mean, it took me a long time to realize that I was born on second base when a lot of people didn't even have the right to suit up, much less
Yeah.
play the
Yeah.
Right.
game.
Yeah.
So my
Yeah.
plan was to go into practice with my dad in law
Mhm.
and then use the law as a stepping stone to get into politics. And if
Mm.
everything had turned out the way I had intended, I would have been the guy sworn in on the Capitol steps in 2008 instead of that guy from Kenya or wherever Trump says he was from.
Yeah.
But for the good of the country, I went into a different direction, went into
Yeah.
journalism. as you mentioned, covered the White House when Reagan was president. And I was at
Yeah.
CNN for 25 years. And during that time, I started writing fiction because CNN made me an editor. And that wasn't creative. It was just fault finding, but it paid well. And so I needed a creative outlet. And that's when I started writing fiction. And then I left CNN and basically glided into a second career in 2013. So I've never been happier now that I'm my own boss.
Wow.
Awesome.
That is awesome. So
Awesome.
your career spanned 45 years as in journalism overall.
Right.
But did you ever have a moment, especially during your CNN time, that there was a cover story or something that you didn't want to do because of your beliefs or your integrity? And how did you handle that?
I can't say that there was. I mean, there's any newsroom every day has arguments, debates about what's the news of the day, what should we lead with, what should we cover, because there's only so many resources. And so I can remember, I would say I was working for the Christian Broadcasting Network for 5 years.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was a general assignment reporter in Virginia Beach for a while. My boss was Pat Robertson, who decided to run for president in 1988, and I became a White House correspondent. And that was tricky because my job was not to get Pat Robertson elected. My job was to cover the White House, and my job was to inform, not persuade. And so I would say that probably the most delicate ethical issues that I had to navigate were during those times. And to be fair, CBN had a kind of a right-leaning bent. And so they felt that the mainstream media was biased toward the left and against the conservatives. And so they felt that we should be conservative as a counterbalance. And my argument was, two wrongs don't make a right. Our job is to inform and play it straight. And this is the days before Fox News. And and so they had me cover these media bias stories, but the saving grace is that my boss, Mike Patrick, just knew that I was going to play it straight, that I wasn't going to just say, well, the press is terrible, because that's what the audience wanted. And so that was where I had a chance to really show how objective reporting should and could be done. So I guess that sort of fits in with what you're talking about, I guess.
No.
Who knew we were going to go here? Okay. Can I go home now?
Not quite. I got a good one for you. Well, with today's world, there seems to be so much pressure on the journalists and things like that. And integrity is one thing that Russ and I we talk about it all the time. Integrity and trust, communication, those type of things. Have you ever had a situation during your time being a journalist that your integrity was questioned?
Oh man!
While you're thinking about that, that's something that seems to happen every day these days.
Yeah, every day these days,
does.
somebody.
I mean, I can tell you a story about how I crossed a line ethically that I shouldn't have. I was very ambitious. And I was working at a local station in Madison, Wisconsin, and there was the police monitor talked about a shooting out in the county. And so I grabbed a camera and I go barreling out there to this farm where the shooting was, and the ambulance had already been there, removed the person who'd been shot. So, I was on deadline. I was really moving, got shots of the blood stains, got a few wide shots, moved on toward the hospital, got to the hospital. The ambulance was in the ambulance bay. The lights were still going. They'd already taken the person inside, got more pictures of what was going on. And then I go charging into the ER. And oh my God, I mean, what was I thinking? I was just thinking I need pictures to tell the story. Well, as it turns out, it was a suicide.
Oh.
And so here I am barging in with the roll, my light
Yeah.
on, the camera rolling, and they said, "Get the hell out of here." And man, I got
Yeah.
out. But it was like that was a moment where I realized, what am
Yeah.
I thinking? What am I thinking?
Right.
This is this person's worst day of their life. And it
Yeah.
isn't a story anymore because,
Right.
we didn't cover suicides. We would cover
Right.
murders. But
Mhm.
suicide, that's a whole different thing. And that
Right.
was
Yeah.
one of those moments where I go, no, you need to
Yeah.
dial
Yeah.
this back. You need to
Yeah.
dial it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least
How
you had
much
the foresight.
pressure
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm
yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
Russ.
yeah, how much pressure is it to be first to get the story?
There's always that, but one of the things I noticed is that
Mm.
there came a point when I was still at CNN where we felt being first was less important than being right.
Yeah.
And so, in the business, everybody cares who's first.
Who
We
breaks the
beat
story?
AP,
Yeah.
we beat AP by 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Who really cares?
Right.
Only the other journalists, but
Right.
everybody notices if you get it wrong. And
Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
there's always
Absolutely.
pressure. There's always pressure. And at CNN, it was a deadline a minute. So
Mhm.
you're always under the gun. But uh,
Yeah.
but the main thing is to get it right.
Yeah.
S
Wow.
I was reading up on you a little bit, and I saw where, when you worked for CNN and was on the Situation Room, they listed you as a senior copy editor. Now, what
Right.
exactly is that?
That's basically, I had to look at everything. I supervised some writers, and
Mhm.
so uh, it was like being a goalie. I I
Mm.
was looking for accuracy. I was looking for
Yeah.
good writing. You can't have a word dropped in the script because
Right.
a lot of times the anchors don't have time to read the script ahead of time.
Gotcha.
It had to be fair. It had to be accurate. I
Mhm.
had to make sure the supers were spelled right for on the
Yeah.
air. So I was the last line of defense between the writer and the anchor.
Ah, okay.
Ah. So, John, what drew you to it? What drew you to journalism? I know you said you kind of had that
Yeah,
silver spoon a little bit.
I
So,
did. I think what got me interested is, I mean, I was always interested in politics. Kennedy was president
Mhm.
when I was, coming of age. Then there was the
Mhm.
assassination, and
right.
so I was riveted to the coverage of the assassination. And I think that's when I
Right.
became aware of journalism in a much more dynamic way. And then I came of age, 18, 19, 20 during Watergate, and uh,
Mhm.
and so and the Vietnam War, and so all of these things are coming together. And I mean, I was raised Nixon Republican conservative, and I went to
Yeah.
school at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, which was extremely liberal. And so when I was at
Mhm.
home, I would argue the left wing line I heard at school, and when I was at school, I'd argue the right wing line I
Right
heard
when
from my
her
parents.
yeah.
And when I was alone, I was confused. And so that's when
Right.
I joined a campus radio station to,
Mhm.
sit on the perch to figure out, well, what's really going on. Um,
Yeah.
so it was Vietnam, I think, also
Yeah.
that really made the difference.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
Now, for me, I spend a lot of time on social media, and then I see a lot of news stories that get flashed across on some sort of social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I see that stuff there. For me, when I see something, I instantly go to CNN to try to fact check it. I'm like, oh, let me make sure that this is
Mhm,
actually true.
mhm,
Now,
Mhm.
many times I've noticed that even from the local and national news now, they're actually covering stories that come from social media now.
right.
In your
Yeah.
opinion, how has social media changed how news
Mm.
is actually covered these days?
Well, it's certainly changed everything. I mean, I wish there was social media when I was, starting out as a reporter. We didn't have cell
Right.
phones, we didn't have social media, the internet was not a thing. And so, in some ways, it's a great way to do research. It's a great way to connect with people and get to them quickly. But there's also, there's just a lot of lying out there. And so
Yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
it all the more difficult to fact check and to make sure you've got, the accurate information. It's a great tip service. It is a great way to find out, what might be a story. But
Right.
it's
Mhm.
morally neutral. In and of itself, it's morally neutral. It's what people do with it where you have the problem, and it can be a great
Mm.
source of good, and it can also be a source of evil, to be blunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
get it. Last week we had a two-time Emmy-winning producer, Kyle Ridley. I don't know if you're familiar with him or not. But he pretty much suggested last week that older journalists are having problems with social media, um, and working with it over, and kind of based on what you had already said. But your career, you spent 45 years, and I see you said that you kind of wish you had it back then. But how was your
Mhm.
transition? How did you get over that hump?
That's a really good question, and for some reason I managed to do it okay. And I
Hmm.
feel very strongly that corporations, especially news organizations, but not just, really should have foster relationships between the new hires and the people who've been there for so long,
Right.
Mhm.
because they have the institutional memory and they have the wisdom. But the young people have a lot of the facility, to be able to
Technology.
work
Yeah.
Right.
with the new technology and stuff
Hmm.
like that.
Hmm.
And it need not be, a generational conflict. You really can work together and learn from each other. And I think corporations that are
Mm.
wise and forward looking can take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's across the board. Well, no matter what corporation, what type of business it is, that's a tip that we all can pick up on there. But listen, we're going to
Man, you're
take a
not
quick
joking.
break. We'll be back with more of the Man Space podcast. We are back with our special guest, John DeDakis. Now, John, you went through your own personal trauma, and in the opening I did talk a little bit about trying to get over grief and things like that. You lost your sister, I believe, to suicide, and you lost your youngest son to a heroin overdose.
That's right.
And honestly, both of us, I know we're deeply sorry to hear about that type of loss.
Thank you.
We've
Yeah.
been impacted with our own losses from suicide and things like that,
Yeah.
with very close friends and family members and things. So we definitely understand to an extent. But you talked about using uh, grief and encouraging people to write. What about your writing style, or how has this actually helped you in your recovery?
It's been something that I utilized. I mean, moving toward the pain is something that is a concept I came across when my
Mhm.
sister died in 1980, but I didn't know what it meant. Someone just said, move toward the pain, which made sense because
Mm.
we tend to anesthetize the pain. And so, but I didn't really know how to put that into practice. And so, when I started to teach myself how to write fiction, I just created a story that was drawn from personal experience, a car train collision I witnessed when I was 9 years old, my sister's suicide, and writing from personal experience that was traumatic. And I wasn't writing to heal, but I wrote and healed in the process. And it wasn't until I looked back
Mm.
over 20 years worth of novels, 6 novels, that I realized that that was what was going on. I was just creating something. I was taking something that had happened, putting it into the life of a character that I created, and she, my protagonist, is dealing with grief as the series unspools. And inadvertently, I was processing my grief as a catharsis and as therapy, really. Although I did go through grief counseling after my son died, and so the act of writing, and it doesn't have to be. Let me just say two things. It doesn't have to be just the loss of a loved one. It can be the loss of a pet, a
Yeah.
job, your health, your innocence, any number of things. It's a universal
Yeah.
experience. And, writing about it doesn't have to be writing a novel. You can write poetry, you can journal. There are any number of things that will allow you to go deeper inside to get inner clarity. And the thing I tell my writing students is the better you know yourself as a person, the better your writing will be, because you're becoming from a place of authenticity. There was one of the guys who took my memoir writing class told me that he was keeping a journal when his wife died. And when he started to write his memoir, he went back years to look at his memoir, and he said, or at his journals, and he said, I forgot how angry I was at the time.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really instructive, because by writing about his anger, it siphoned those potentially toxic emotions, put them onto the page, which allowed him then to move forward with his life. But having it down there in black and white allowed him to go back and remember, so that he could appropriate that and put it into his memoir. So writing can be, journaling especially, can be a way of, I don't know, observing your life, observing your emotions, getting them out, and then moving forward. Therapy is also, I think, a wonderful opportunity. And a lot of guys, feel like, oh, I'm a
not
tough
doing
guy.
therapy.
I'm a tough guy. I can't.
Right.
And the therapist isn't telling you what to do. They're letting you, figure it out and get inner clarity.
Yeah. But it seems like it's a
Yeah.
more constructive way to deal with things instead of being destructive.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times
Yeah.
when we are dealing with grief, when the anger, because you go through the 5 stages of grief, and when the anger hits in, you become a little bit more destructive, whether it's, to property or even to yourself or to other
Yeah.
people,
Physical, mental.
it
Yeah.
comes out. So when you sit there and can actually journal it in some kind of way, it's a more constructive way to get that out. So
It really is.
I
I mean,
like that.
anger is a God-given emotion, as all of them are, but it's what you do with it. I can remember,
Absolutely.
and I was writing in my journal, and I went back, and I mean, there were deep grooves in the
Yeah.
page, when I did that.
Wow.
And I'll say one more thing about guys and grief. I think that because we tend to hold it in, women get it. They cry. That's an emotional safety valve. And I wish
Mhm.
that more of us got that,
Mhm.
because I think that the act of holding it in it's a way of dealing with it, but it's not
Right.
healthy, because it's corrosive. And if you think about
Right.
it, just about every mass shooter is a guy. And I think
Yeah.
in extreme
Yeah.
examples, these are guys who have the anger and have the
Mhm.
pain, but it's unprocessed to the point where the
Yeah.
tears
Wow.
have become bullets.
You
Wow. I never thought of it
just
like that.
jumped right
Yeah.
into Yeah, you jumped right into the heart of the man space with this one, because we've talked about this several times,
Yeah.
because from a young age,
Yeah.
we teach our sons, if your son falls and scrapes his knee,
Yeah.
what do we tell him? "You're
Shake it
alright."
Get up.
off.
You're
Shake
okay.
it off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shake it
"Don't
up.
cry, you're good.
Yeah.
Come
Put
on,"
some dirt on it.
And
Yeah.
so
Men
we're
don't cry
teaching
like
them
that.
at a young age to hold it in, right? Even then, when you get into your dating years, if you show any
Mhm.
type of vulnerability in front of a woman, oh, she's gonna laugh at you. You're soft. So then you bottle it up even more. So yeah, it becomes a mental breakdown
Yeah.
that we can't we can't let it out. And what happens when you keep blowing into a balloon? Eventually, if you don't let some of that air out, it's going to pop.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Yeah, that's
explode.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. And vulnerability
Wow.
is it's like catnip to some women,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
right.
it's
Mhm.
counterintuitive,
Mhm.
but it's a fine
Yeah.
line between being vulnerable and being needy, because that's not
Absolutely.
attractive.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, John, I I mean, from the deepest sympathies, and I know I'm glad you found a way to channel all of that, your loss and stuff like that, and get yourself in a better direction, you know. But you've written six political thriller books, right? How much did that your life, your real life, encompass into your books? How much of it is encompassed?
A
I should
lot.
say,
I mean, you're
into your books?
drawing from personal experience. I mean, writers should write what they know. And I know journalism, I know politics, I write as a woman, but I know a lot of women who tell me their stories. I mean, at CNN, I was surrounded by young women in their early to mid 20s who would tell me what it's like to be a woman. And
Hmm.
and when you're listening, you're learning.
Mhm.
There was one anchor I worked with. She was gorgeous, and I remember asking
Yeah.
her, "What's it like for guys to come on to you all the time?" And she said,
Right.
"I can tell in the first 20 seconds if I'm safe. I never have to worry about being safe in a
Mm.
conversation with a woman." And that's when I realized
Right.
that part of being a woman
Wow.
means playing defense. And so it was
Yeah.
little nuggets like that I picked
Mm.
up. There was a woman who took one of my classes who was writing a book on like 100 first dates. And I said,
Yeah.
"Is there any kind of a pattern that you're discovering?" She said, "Men do not know how to have a conversation with a woman. All they're talking about is their paycheck, their high-powered job. They're not asking me questions. They don't care about
Mhm.
me. They just want me as an audience."
Right. Right. They wanna
Mm.
put out stuff that, "Hey, look at me," type
That they
stuff to
think
see
is
if I'm
attractive.
gonna catch
Yeah.
you that way. Right. Yeah. Man, that's
There
that's
was
that's
another woman
interesting.
that I mean, it's there was another woman, gorgeous again, going through a
Mhm.
divorce, and so she was telling me about it, and she said, just sort of offhand, she said, "I always seem to fall for the bad boys." And I remember asking
Mm.
her, I said, "Why is that?" And she
Yeah.
looked stunned, and then she thought, because no one had ever asked her that before, and she
Right.
said, and she wasn't being conceited when she said this. She said, "I think they're the only ones who have the courage to approach me,
Yes.
the confidence
Mm.
to
Yeah.
approach."
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's really true. The bad boys have the confidence. Unfortunately, they're
Mhm.
also mean and controlling.
Yeah.
And so if you can
Mhm.
find that balance between being confident but being kind as well,
Mhm.
you're really getting somewhere.
That that is so
Right.
interesting. It's something
Does this
that
make sense? Does this make sense to you
it,
guys?
it does. It actually
It
does
makes
because Les
oh
and I have
yeah.
had these
We talk about
conversations,
it.
but
Yeah.
we talk about it from our perspective and how we've dealt with it
Yeah.
within those situations. Because I'm the good guy and Les is the bad guy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
but but we talk about how we've approached from our perspective, and we've never approached
Right.
it from the side of a woman and what she's dealing with on that side. So
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
good confirmation in all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. How long have you
Yeah.
guys been married?
So I've been married
Um,
for 11 years now.
Okay. Unless,
mhm.
how many
I've
years
been
have you
married.
been married?
I've been married for 5 years
Okay,
so
5 years.
far.
I'm coming
Yeah.
up on 48. So, there's hope. You can get there.
Congratulations.
You can, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not,
Yeah.
here's the
It's
thing. Love is not the warm fuzzies. Love is a choice. There comes a
Yeah.
time, and I think you
it is
both know
work.
this, the bloom
Yeah.
is off the rose. The
Yeah.
bloom is off the rose,
Hmm.
and then it's down to
Oh,
commitment time. Is this the person I
Yeah.
choose,
oh yeah.
or am I just going to go for the warm fuzzies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
So
I'll say this. It's not my first time around, but
mm,
I think I
Well, we learn.
chose
We live and
the
learn.
right
We live and learn.
flower
yeah.
this time. Yeah. So this is my end all be all. If she
Nice.
throws me out the garden,
Say,
I'll just be a little dandelion in
you
the
too
middle
old
of the
to do
lawn
it
by
again.
myself. It ain't happening yet. I'll just buy a lot of toys. I'll
Yep.
have every toy that you can
Yeah.
think
Yep.
of.
And he's not calling me to sleep on my couch either.
There you go. There you go.
But
It's
but
always the
John,
shed in the back porch. I remember.
okay. But John, you have, your sixth novel, The Enemy's Domestic.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like that story is playing out right before our eyes right now.
It totally is. Enemies Domestic. The title is
Yeah.
taken from the oath of office that government officials have to take to preserve and protect the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Foreign and
And
domestic. That's right.
in Enemies Domestic, my protagonist, Lark Chadwick, is White House press secretary. She is pregnant. She's ambivalent about becoming a single mom because the dad is dead. Abortion is a crime in most states at this point. And the first question she gets in the daily briefing on their first day on the job comes from a Tucker Carlson type who asks, "Are you or are you not planning to abort your unborn child?" And that none of your business question forces Lark into the middle of this highly toxic and polarized political fishbowl, like what we're experiencing now, and a dictator becomes president. Who knew? I mean, it could never happen.
Wow.
But I started writing it back in 2022, I think, when the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, and I wanted to create a story putting Lark in a post-Roe era. And I wrote it as sort of a cautionary tale because Trump was running for president. He'd already been president once before. My novel Before This Fake was written when he was elected the first time. And I wanted to create a story in which Lark is the victim of fake news. We as the reader know that what's going on about her is not true, but I wanted to show that lies have consequences. So now we fast forward, Trump's running again. And I just felt that it was important to show that there are, based on what he was saying, there was a real danger that we really could be coming to a totalitarian state. And now, looking back, I mean, it was published July 4th, 2024, the same week the Supreme Court ruled that presidents have absolute immunity from prosecution for crimes they commit while in office. And so now, basically, Trump can get away with anything. And we are at this. This is taped February 5th in 2026. He just called Caitlin Collins. Said that she's a terrible person because she doesn't smile. I mean, talk about sexist. And it's because he was asking about the Epstein files, which is about pedophilia. I mean, talk about a tone deaf president.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I mean, you're getting me off on a tangent here, but we are seeing Trump talking about taking control of the ballot box for the midterm elections in 2026.
Yeah.
It's Caroline Levitt says, he's joking. No, he's not. He's not.
He's not joking. He's not joking. Les and I got the opportunity to meet him years ago. He ever got into politics.
You have my deepest sympathy.
This was pre-political, and he was coming to speak to a bunch of individual business owners to give them a boost and a pep talk on enhancing their business and being better business owners and things like that, and give them strategies and tips. And that's what he was supposed to be doing. His one piece of advice that he gave was, if you're good looking, you can sell to anybody. If you're ugly, you have no shot. That was the only
that
advice
was your
he gave.
takeaway. That was your takeaway.
Yeah.
That was our
he
takeaway.
talked for an hour.
Yeah.
But that was the only takeaway he had. The rest of the time, he talked about how ugly Rosie O'Donnell was. He talked about how Michael Jackson had no confidence.
Oh,
this was right about the time that Michael Jackson had passed away.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. So it was very.
So you could see this coming.
Yes.
You had his number.
Even back then.
We saw it way back then. It was like, oh my God. And then when he announced that he was running,
you have any?
I think we had a conversation then about it.
Mhm.
Do you have any idea why so many people are in thrall to him?
Absolutely not. I have been asking myself that for, I guess, 14 years now. I've
Yeah,
been asking that question, and I do not know or understand why.
yeah. It's a
I
it's
do. It's his
delusional. I mean, the
confidence.
Republican Party's it's a cult. It's a cult.
Yeah.
A part of it is
Yeah.
power. I mean, the evangelicals went nuts for him because,
Yeah.
he was going to he was going to get enough conservative judges to overturn Roe, and it happened. So the
Right.
evangelicals are getting what they
Yep.
want, but
Right.
I think there's a problem there. Let's just say.
I have opinions. I
And it's a
don't want to
huge
say them on
problem.
air, and we will
I know.
talk.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm no. I'm. It's my fault. I'm making you bad.
No, it's
We'll
all
talk
good.
about
We'll
that
we'll, we'll get back. We'll get back on.
at a
We'll
later
get back on
date.
track here.
Yeah.
So, John, since
Right.
since transitioning to look, I'm already off. Miss.
Who are you calling
Get it
trans?
together. See, here we go. Since
Here we
transitioning
go. Here we go.
into an
Here we
Sorry.
go.
author,
I'm a bad.
there
I'm
you
a
go.
bad
Since
influence here.
it's all right. So are we, but we're gonna
Well,
leave
that's
that for another
yeah.
day. Yeah,
I'm
but since
drinking
you've
water here
transitioned
too.
into an
You know.
author, well, you
Yeah.
never know what's in this cup. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Since you transitioned over to an author, what is the hardest part for you?
Oh, the hardest part is that blank page. I mean, I've got procrastination nailed. It
Mm,
takes me, it should take me 6 months to write a book. It takes me 2 years because,
mm,
I'm thinking about it. I have
oh
other
man,
stuff going on in my life, but I think the absolute hardest is,
mm.
coming up with something to fill the page.
Wow.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
going back to your last book, um, do you get any type of pushback from anybody just because of how everything is kind of playing out? Do people read it and feel like, "Hey, you can't say that," or are they trying to ban your book as we see books getting banned
Boy,
all
I,
over the
w- I
Yeah.
place?
wish they would. It would be great for sales.
Right.
I haven't had as much pushback as I expected or feared, and I
Mhm,
think maybe part of it
Mm,
is that I mean, I wrote a book about abortion. That's sort of
mhm,
a third rail you don't touch, but I wrote it in a way that I hope that wherever you come down on the issue, you're going to feel as if your position is fairly represented, because it
mhm.
is not a slam dunk issue. It is a very complex, highly emotional, nuanced issue, and there are a number of
yeah,
ways to look
absolutely.
at it. And I've been on all sides of the issue, and I've covered it as a
Mm,
reporter, and so I've maybe, because there hasn't been that much pushback, maybe it's coming across as as fair. I mean, you can't please everybody. I know I've lost book sales just because of the subject matter, and people are
right.
going, "Oh, I'm living that. All I need to do is,
Yeah.
read the news, and I can,
Right,
get a
right, right,
taste of what
right.
I'm talking about."
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
but it's been a relief that that there's not been as much pushback. That's not to say that it won't happen. It could be that not enough people are reading it. Who knows?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, do you have the same protagonist in all 6 books?
All
So,
6 books. You don't have to read them in order, though. I mean, I've written
okay.
them so that they stand alone, so that the story
Mhm.
is resolved by the end of the
Oh,
book,
okay.
but you have a sense of something happened before, and
Else.
it's going somewhere, so you can pick it up anywhere along the way.
Gotcha,
Oh, so
gotcha,
you wrote in a
gotcha.
And there are
different perspective
audiobooks.
then.
They're on audiobook. Yeah, and they're audiobook and Kindle as well.
Okay. I'm
Oh,
actually just
nice.
pulling them up right
Nice.
now. I think I'm going to, go ahead and click order on these because I'm really
I
curious
love
on this
you. I
story.
love you, man. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Uh, so what's up next for you?
Well, let's see. There are two things that are immediate. One is I am sort of expanding beyond the writing community. I primarily have
Okay.
been teaching writers or wannabe writers how to write novels and memoirs and things like that. But I'm taking it a step further to talk to corporate wellness programs, grief groups, military organizations on how to use writing, writing as a way to heal, so that this takes it beyond the somebody who wants to write a novel, but someone who's suffering. And the other thing I'm doing is I've got a memoir that is about to be. We haven't signed anything yet, but I'm thinking that within the next year, my memoir will be coming out, and that deals with the working title is Plot Twists, a memoir on writing and living. And I've identified the pivotal moments in my life that have brought me to where I am. And so I talk about the grief experiences and things like that. So those are probably two of the more immediate things that are cooking right now.
That is so awesome.
Awesome.
That is so awesome. We're running low on time in this episode, but can you share with the Manspace Nation how they can find your books? I know you mentioned that they're on Kindle as well. Any type of social media handles, website information as well that they can follow you
Probably,
on?
I mean, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and I'm on LinkedIn. Those are probably the two main ones, or three main ones. But if you want to get a message to me and find out more about the books, go to my website, which is my name.com, johndedakis.com, JOHN, D as in dog, ED as in dog, AKIS as in Sam, johndedakis.com.
Well, we have one last thing for you, and it is called The Last Word.
And now, the last word.
You seem to have shared your ups and downs, and if you could go back and tell your younger self anything that would help you be a better man today, what would it be?
Two things. Don't be so afraid. Be in the moment. Take a breath, because we spend all our time regretting the past and worrying about the future, and we can't control either of those things. We only have control of the moment. And I think that by doing that, it can bring about a sense of peace, and we're less stressed about where we're going. I was a scaredy cat for the longest time, and that's crippling. I think that I've learned a lot. I mean, when you go through the worst of the worst, the little things aren't as big a deal anymore. And courage is something. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's harnessing it. It's going forward anyway, like the guys who stormed the beaches of Normandy in World War II. Were they afraid? My God, they were terrified, but they went forward anyway. That's fear in action. That's courage. And so there's no shame in being afraid. It's just, don't let it paralyze you. Go forward anyway.
Wow. That clip it. That's going on social media right there. I love that.
I've learned to speak in sound bites.
John, thank you so much for
doing a great job
with us here on the Manspace.
Thank you, guys. Well, you guys are doing a great job. Excellent questions. You made me think, and it's really slick. You guys are good looking. There's a good chance that you guys are going to be successful. Trump said it.
Thank you. We're working on it. We're growing. We're growing.
We're working on it. I don't know about growing, but I'm getting wider. All these cakes and stuff I keep eating.
I know.
Oh man.
Well, John, thank you.
John, thank you so much.
We greatly appreciate you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Manspace Nation, we'll be right back with more of the Manspace podcast. As we do each week, we like to close the show with just a little bit of inspiration. How many times when you've asked somebody, man, how you doing? You hear, I'm surviving. Surviving gets a bad rap. Sometimes it sounds like something you do with a torn map, one shoe on, and holding a suspicious-looking granola bar. You see, here's the truth. Surviving is a skill, and you're already good at it. Think about it. You've made it through the bad days, awkward conversations, embarrassing moments, unexpected bills, and at least one haircut you definitely did not ask for. And yet, you're here, still standing, still showing up, and still figuring it out. Surviving isn't about being fearless or even having it all together. It's about waking up and saying, I'm still in this. There's still time on the clock. And it's choosing to take one more step, even when that step feels like a shuffle. It's progress that counts. And let's be clear, surviving doesn't mean that you're weak at all. It means you're stubborn in the best way. You see, life knocked and you answered. Life shoved and you leaned back in and said, F-A-F-O. You see, if all you're doing right now is surviving, good. That's the foundation. That's how comebacks start. Because surviving today is how you get strong enough to thrive tomorrow. Keep going. Honestly, you're doing better than what you think. And Man Space Nation, the fact that you're still here, then you've already won the game. Until next time. Like our guest was
I like
talking
that.
about writing down those moments. I mean, that is a great way to help you through those weak moments and help you survive, man. I really just smiled at this episode because all of it just kind of flowed together right into that final message there.
I know, right? For years I've been thinking about journaling, right? But I'm afraid that I won't be able to read what I wrote. Sometimes, so
that has been the hardest part for me. I go back and
exactly.
I go back and I look at my notes, man. Sometimes I'm like, what did I write? So I have to type everything. I really have to type it, or I speak it into my phone.
Yeah. See, and maybe that's what I should do is do the voice recordings and do the voice to text and start putting my thoughts down that way, because I'm not a great writer. I won't say writer. I'll just say my handwriting sometimes isn't the easiest to follow, even
you
for
don't
myself.
have great penmanship,
so it will help me. But no, the penmanship is weak at best. However, I know how to sign my name.
That's all that matters.
That's all that really matters.
Sign the check.
At least according to my wife.
Yeah. You
sign here.
Sign the checks for
her.
Okay. And Man Space Nation, you know what happens every Monday night.
No more, man. I'll do direct deposit.
Just pass the card. Man Space Nation, every Monday night on WTMSTV.com. You can catch this episode and every episode of the Man Space Podcast Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. All new episodes air there. And then on Thursday nights, it is Throwback Thursdays with back-to-back episodes of the Man Space Podcast. Man Space Nation, normally I go right into my close, but you know what? I failed to mention that this is our 300th episode.
What a journey.
Yeah.
What a journey from a phone call.
Yeah.
To 300 episodes.
Absolutely.
Some of your favorite podcasters don't even have 300 episodes.
That's very true.
Yes.
That's very true.
Yes.
This
And I look
this is
forward
basically
to
a
300 more.
labor of love that we have developed. It's our therapy for each other because we get a chance to talk and get out what we feel to each other. We have
Also,
some amazing guests that we've been bringing in
yeah.
and being able to learn and grow from our guests. And this has just been something that we've enjoyed bringing to you guys, the Man Space Nation. So we appreciate everyone who listens and follows
Yeah.
and send messages and things like that and reaching out. Thank you guys so much. And here's to the next 300.
Yeah. We greatly appreciate it. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
on that note,
We out of here.
No gimmicks, just game that my sure in sight. They shine like the city on a Friday night. Man talk, real talk, that's the way that you bless. Giving knowledge and some laughs in the same finesse. From life goes to the jokes that hit. They the tag team champs, yeah, legit with the wit. So pull up a chair, let the stress digest. From the beat drops, you know the rest. You